Okay, what's going on, boys? No guys here. Welcome back to another tactics video. No weekly tactics update today, but I wanted to introduce a new tactic for you, which is the 4-2-3-1. Of course, an old tactic. I made one pre-patch, but I made an attacking one, 4-2-3-1 post-patch. I'm just kind of testing some things out, and actually ended up working out pretty well. The way this one attacks would be similar to the ones that I use normally, so there's not going to be anything different in terms of the structure, nothing funky going on here, because they haven't really fixed drop between defenders, but we'll go on to that another day. So if you're looking for like the flying fullbacks variation of this, won't be that one. But we've got one with the centre mids during the attack and the fullbacks on balance. It's very attacking, I'd probably say more attacking than normal, but it gives you the ability to defend and attack at the same time. I'll explain to you what I mean by that is, and because you control it on the fly with the tactics. So let's go over the tactics itself. So I'm gonna leave the tactics on the screen first. I know people are just gonna copy and paste it and skip it, but then they're the ones that's gonna struggle. So I'll try to explain it for you. So defensive style, look, I think balance is still the way to go. With 71 depth, it still works. Okay, so depth, the nerfing of pressure is only in specific areas. So actually, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. So they've actually haven't nerfed 71 depth. So technically, you can still use it. But this would be just more of a 50 width balanced. Just you got to be careful with the fullbacks. One thing I would say is with this formation, you're going to see in a second, there's no comeback and defense. So if you do concede cutbacks quite a lot, you may want to put comeback and defense on both the lamb and the ram. So remember that when we go over the instruction, I'll just tell you that now. So that's the reason why I left it pretty balanced. You can always increase the width if you really struggle with cutbacks and you need your wide players to be a bit more wider on the defensive stance. 60 depth, as it is completely fine. If you want to use a lower depth, what I recommend is if you want to use a lower depth as well, let's say you want to go towards like 40, I'll say 45 and above, because that's when the team press are coming in. Also, should I say under, I believe it's under 45 is when the team are more passive. You can use something like pressure on heavy touch. It's more of a conservative option, but this way at least you're only pressing when there's a good chance to win the ball. The way I like to see this is, imagine like this is 71 depth, but the 71 depth only activates when there's your opponent makes a big mistake. So let's say your opponent makes a really heavy touch or really sloppy pass, or it's a very loose ball, then your team kind of go into a constant pressure state. So this could also be an option. I would say definitely try both of these. This one's a bit more attacking, but at least this way you won't get caught out. I think the biggest thing with 71 depth is, especially for players that maybe not as skilled with pressing, is that they get caught out. They run out with the centre backs and start blaming everything. I'll blame the tactics, I'll blame this, I blame that, I blame the players. But the truth is they run out with the centre back themselves in a panic situation. Something just to bear in mind. I still go on long ball. I still think long balls are most effective. Don't forget, especially with cams, there's no getting behind. So you need that getting behind option. And there isn't one. So long ball just tells your players, okay, when I win the ball back, I want you to make runs going forward, especially those three cams. Even with me, that L1 trigger like all the time, I still use long ball. Even when I'm playing seriously, I still use long ball. Maybe when I'm more lazy, it does help me, but I always like players making run, because sometimes I can only trigger one player on my side. I want my other lamb, when I get the ball back, when the turn of play, I want my lamb to make that run forward as well. Now, I've stuck with forward runs. I know some people still use direct passing. Me personally, for both old gen and new gen, I do purely believe that forward runs is superior in a 4-2-3-1. Before, everyone just used direct passing, but more and more people have been using forward runs. As you probably know, I've been using forward runs on my 4-2-3-1 for the past 4 years since they introduced the new tactics in FIFA 20. So nothing has changed in regards to that. The width is pretty much balanced. What I would say though is you may want to use a wide. This is for those that like, now the way I'm playing this formation is more directly into the middle. The lamb and ram, they're more wingers. But I would say you can go for a wider width if you are looking for wing play, if you want to use the cutbacks. But you can always hug the sidelines as well to make it seem wider. And then we've got 6 players inside the box. I'll explain that as well in a second. So, going over to the instructions. Now, if you want to see more clips of this, don't forget you can subscribe to my Patreon. So it's patreon.com/NoGuys. Don't get back to 1 month. We will find your mind. It's a No Guys guarantee. We've got actually got a video on cutbacks, and we started a video series on looking for space with the eye tracker, and also find chance creation, especially with the formation. This chance creation is the most important thing. Striker, the typical, the one that you always see with me. Stay central, stay forward, get him behind. It's pretty much always the same. You want your marksman striker here. Eventually, when I do Cecina would go here. But you could do something like this. When Cecina gets completed and I get the chemistry, he will go in striker. Then we go with the cam, stay forward, get into the box for a cross. So again, this kind of plays in the 4-4-1-1. This is quite similar to the native 4-4-2. If you ignore the positions and you think about it logically, you have the two wingers, you got the cam and the striker both on stay forward. It kind of plays like a 4-4-1-1. So this is like a 4-2-3-1 and the 4-4-2 hybrid in the middle, is I would say is the crossover. The landman around, both of them on balance, get into the box for a cross. As I mentioned, you can, when I explained earlier, if you are struggling with the cutbacks, you could just basically come back in the fence and you force them to come back and you double up and you increase the width as well. So that is one variant that I want to give to you. It says we're making 2 videos on a 4-2-3-1. Now, the most defensive player you put cut passing lanes to right, I can cover center, and the most attacking player, get forward. You can use balance, but I think get forward is just better sometimes. I think especially when you're using more of a counter-attack type system. If you're playing a bit more passively, you can use balanced. But forward runs, especially like if you've got someone that hasn't really got good... Let's say Makaleli hypothetically was playing in this role and he's got high-low work rates. No, sorry, low-high. Low attacking, high defensive. So you could always force a player going forward. Normally attacking players, someone like Aitana, Alexia, Marcus Llorente, or Hullet. Someone that can go forward is very, very good. A Bellingham, attacking centre mid here. And you do need the defensive CDM on stay back. Now, one thing I actually didn't think about, because I just never really thought about it. Someone asked me this question. Which player do you put where? It kind of depends on the way you play. The way I look at it is, it depends what way you attack. If you're attacking from left to right, and so it's close to the badge, you're attacking from left to right. If you like to attack more on the right-hand side, then you may want, for example, your right centre mid to get inside the box, because your eyes will naturally be attacking on the bottom side, and it's quite common, by the way, psychologically speaking, to attack on the side that's at the bottom to you, because your eyes are closer to that, closer to the radar. So you can always put the player to get inside the box to go forward if you like to attack. Now, although that makes sense logically, you may actually want the left-hand side to go forward. Why? Because when you go, let's say you shoot from left to right, right? I'm trying to do this way. Yeah, shoot from left. I'm trying to do this backwards now. Look at the camera. You shoot from left to right, okay? If you're going on the bottom of the pitch, sometimes you want your CDM to be here, so you could pass the ball back to your CDM and have the centre mid on top running forward. Does that make sense? I hope I... So that is why you can't. So sometimes you might want this player to be that pivot player, staying back, and having the opposite player running inside the box for the late runner. So those are just 2 things to think about. Some of you guys like to play that way. I play the normal way of going down the wing and then going back, cutting it back to the centre mid if I can't go inside the box, and if I can't go, I can't go down the wing here, and then I'll try to recycle the ball. Otherwise, on the other side, what I may do, for example, is I don't really play this way, but if I want to, I'll go attack down the wing. And let's say I'm looking for the cutback instantly. I may want that centre mid to come inside the box and also create the cutback near post as well. So these are just 2 things to think about in terms of what plays you want to go forward. Maybe not the most important thing, but I think as you progress inside the game, it's something that you really got to think about. So just remember that, keep that with a grain of salt. Now, the centre backs, both of them on stay back. Goalkeepers. I don't really leave anything, but I know people are using comes with crosses and stuff like that. I've not really used sweeper keeper. You can consider it because the fullbacks are going forward here, and that is the main thing I wanted to mention here. The goalkeeper, ideally we want someone's got save with the feet trait. The 2 centre backs, ideally you need pace here. I got Eder and Van Dijk. The left centre back and right centre back, both of them on overlap. And now this is the thing that I wanted to mention. You can leave them both on balance. Now, someone that's got high work rates on both sides would be ideal, because they will go forward equally and they go back. Don't forget, the 5-back nerf does not apply to this formation. Remember that. So it does make it much more attacking. But some of you guys will really struggle with having both fullbacks on during the attack. So you can always put them on stay back. So for the top tier rank 1 players and to rank 2 that are watching this, I'd recommend putting stay back and just activating the D-pad tactics, attacking fullbacks whenever you want to. So they can go forward whenever you request, whenever you want, like a light switch. Turn it on and off whenever you want to. Otherwise, if you want one player to go forward, maybe put the most attacking player forward. So let's say, for example, Mendy's the most attacking player. You can leave him on balanced, or you can leave him on join the attack. That way you can have that cutback option to go down the wing. And then maybe, I said to you earlier with the player that gets inside the box and gets forward. Ideally, if Mendy is going forward here, you ideally want this player to be on stay back while attacking. Because then if you lose the ball, at least this player can temporarily cover. The way you'd make this player temporarily cover is by using cover wing. So if you want to use the option of just one fullback going, let's say you don't want leave them both on stay back. Let's say you don't want to leave them both on balance. You just want one fullback to go forward only. Then I will consider putting cover wing and then putting this player on stay back and making this player get forward. So at least that way, when Mendy's out of position, the fast player here will be able to cover. So whichever CDM you have in the defensive role is very, very important that you do make sure they have pace. As I said again, attacking centre mid and a defensive. Someone like Essien is like 300k now, a very, very affordable option. So someone like Essien and Alexia or Vieira and Hullet, so a combination of those. The cam's got to be someone that moves, not someone like Haaland here. You can't play Haaland here. In fact, if you really want to, let's say you got to fit Haaland in, put him in centre mid as attacking centre mid getting forward, I will not put Haaland in the front, especially not in a cam. This has to be someone that's liquid. Neymar, I think, works perfectly here, but like someone like Cecina could probably play here as well. Wingers, you need people realistically that's got pace. If you've got people that've got the finesse shot trait or playstyle plus, should I say, not trait, or the Travella normal playstyle, they work pretty effectively in these positions, but you need high pace here. The biggest and most common mistake people see is they think these players are wide cams, but they think they're like central cams. So they play like KDB, slow players. No, these guys are wingers. Unless you're playing one width, even then you need wide players that pace. Because when you win the ball back, these are going to be your outlet players. Trust me. When you're getting pressed, they're going to be your outlet players in these areas. Like so, I think you need a marksman striker. If you're going to that Eusebio card will last you probably beyond team of the season. But someone like that, someone that's got the pedigree, a marksman player, someone that can at least dribble. I still think dribbling is very, very important. For right now, I'm using a Cecina. I'll get him to 85. I just stayed up all night long. Legit, I was up to like 1 p.m. in the morning. I mean, all night long just to get the power shooter done because that expires like 4 hours ago. So I had to get that done and finish my other evolution. But that is a team that I'd recommend anyway for that. Anyway, that is the 4-2-3-1 attacking tactics. It is quite attacking, maybe sometimes too attacking. So the key thing is, as I said, as usual, adjusting it for your playstyle. Probably the most important thing. Always adjust things for your playstyle. And don't forget, if you want to get better at FIFA, you come to my Patreon series, patreon.com/NilGuides. Links down below in the description. If you don't get better after 1 month, it will refund your money. That's the Nil Guides guarantee. Right now, working on chance creation in the final third. On our latest video, I think came out, I believe, by the time this video is out, it should have been out as well. But anyways, thanks for watching. Take it easy and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.